I'm Stephanie Neufeld. I work for EPCOR Water Services as a watershed specialist. A watershed is an area of land that catches precipitation and drains it into a specific water body, such as a river, a lake, an ocean, or a wetland. And often you use watershed protection strategies to protect water quality and quantity. Water quality is affected by natural processes such as underlying geology, natural erosion processes, wildlife populations in the upstream areas. And each of those combine in a way to produce a certain chemistry of the water. In general, in a pristine watershed, that is considered natural. Human activities on the landscape can affect watershed health in various ways. When we create urban environments or agricultural environments, for example, we change the natural hydrology of the watershed. Oftentimes you get an increase of 5 to 10 times the amount of water that comes off, and with that you see increased erosion, potential flooding, and in general an increase in load of contaminants. A good example is fertilizers. The transport of those fertilizers or nutrients is often through sediments and erosion processes. Even though they're natural, the amount that is entering and the timing of that entrance into the water body is different, and therefore you can have effects for aquatic organisms. EPCOR has a comprehensive watershed protection program, and as part of that watershed protection program there are 4 pillars. The first pillar is watershed planning. So we work with watershed planning and advisory councils in Alberta to decide what we want the watershed to look like in terms of environmental outcomes. The second pillar is research and monitoring. So this is understanding where the water is coming from in the watershed and what sort of influences it has on the aquatic environment. The third pillar that we have is an implementation pillar that looks at ability for contaminants not to enter the water body. This includes agricultural beneficial management practices such as off-site watering for cattle, so that contaminants are actually being, the actual contaminants are not being able to move into these aquatic environments. And the fourth pillar is looking at education and awareness, educating people on what a watershed is and what role they have in watershed protection. This is a comprehensive strategy that EPCOR applies to not just the Edmonton area facilities, but all the facilities that we operate.